What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country on a daily basis that you need to know about here, including your money, investing, the stock market, and what is going on here on a daily basis. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on new videos. Here we go. Here is what Dr. Fauci has to say about President Biden, who currently has tested positive for the virus. Check this out.
President continues to improve, and we have every reason to believe that he will do very well for the obvious reasons. He's vaccinated, doubly boosted. He's on an antiviral drug that has a very good track record of preventing people to progress to disease that is serious. So he's doing very well, and he continues to improve. He has no trouble breathing at all right now.
Yeah, so Dr. Fauci says the president continues to improve. He's putting in a full day of work virtually. As each day goes by, he's doing fine. He says, as we've said before, given the fact that he's been vaccinated, doubly boosted, and is receiving Paxlovid, a drug that clearly goes a long way to preventing progression of disease, we fully expect that he's going to be doing very well. Fauci also discussed later in the state of the virus in the US, saying that we're going to have to learn to live with it. Says, quote, I believe ultimately we're not going to eliminate or eradicate this virus. We're going to have to live with it, because it's the virus that has such a degree of transmissibility that it's not going to just disappear. Fauci also said it's premature to think that we don't have a problem to deal with while 40,000 people are in the hospital and hundreds of thousands of people continue to be infected. Also, here's what Dr. Jha said, who is the White House Pandemic Response Coordinator. Check this out.
The CDC says that 1/3 of Americans still haven't been fully vaccinated. And you mentioned, I think it was to New York Times, that Congress still hasn't allocated enough funding for boosters into the fall. What is your message to Congress if they don't allocate funding for boosters in the fall? And also, what's your message to Americans who still refuse to get vaccinated? And I have another question after that.
Yeah, so let's start with talking to Americans. I think what we're seeing across the country is there are a lot of infections, but when people are vaccinated and boosted, they tend to have far less serious illness. This virus is going to be with us forever. It's really, really important that people build up their immunity against this virus. And so I've been very clear for years, 2 years, or a year and a half, I guess, since we've had vaccines, that getting vaccinated is one of the best ways that people have to protect themselves. To Congress, what I would say is Congress has been a great partner to this administration in terms of funding the COVID response, making sure that vaccines and therapeutics are widely available. And that's one of the reasons we have plenty of vaccines right now. But the problem is that we need to continue this effort. The reason we have seen so much progress is because we've had the resources to do the things that are necessary for the American people. And if we take our foot off the gas and stop, all this work that we are doing, we will slide backwards. And we do not want that. And we can do a lot in the administration, but we need funding to do all those things. And Congress is the part of our government that allocates funding. So my message to Congress is it's really important to continue to protect the American people. As we get into the fall and winter, we will need more resources. We need the resources now to prepare for the fall and winter. And it's really important that Congress step up and do its part.
Yeah, so let me know your thoughts here. White House Pandemic Response Coordinator says, quote, COVID-19 is going to be with us forever. Yeah, this is really kind of the first couple times that we've heard them say that. And really, they haven't been able to pass funding. They're really running out of funding, or it's almost out of funding for a lot of these basic necessities for vaccine funding, virus funding. A lot of the Republicans have blocked it recently here. So let me know your thoughts here on this. I know we want the virus to go away, just like we want HIV virus to go away, AIDS virus to go away. I mean, there's a lot of, we think about the flu virus, influenza virus to go away. We would love for all these different viruses to go away in the world. That doesn't mean they just instantly go away. So it's just like we want cancer to go away. It doesn't mean it instantly goes away. Science continues to work on these different things, and there are new treatments that come out here all the time. But if you stop working on them, if you stop funding them, if science stops working on them, we'll never have new treatments, new cures. I mean, we think about Paxlovid, this new treatment that has come out here. I mean, really, you think this virus has only been out for, or really been recently, the new pandemic has been out here for like 2 years. If we stop working on it, if we stop funding it, if science stops working on treatments here, I mean, you let me know your thoughts here. Imagine if we stopped working on cures for cancer, if we stopped working on cures for AIDS, if we stopped working on cures for everything in the medical community. Imagine if we stopped working on cures for blood pressure problems, if cures for everything, preeclampsia, you let me know your thoughts here in the comments. But I mean, this has taken about 6 million lives here worldwide and over 1 million lives here in the U.S., whether directly or from complications. And I have seen a lot of comments, really hundreds of comments here from people directly in our community who have said that they have had a family member or friends who have died from this virus or for complications from this virus. So my thoughts and prayers go out to anybody watching who has had a friend or family member die from complications or from the virus. So my thoughts and prayers go out to everybody who has had to deal with that. Yeah, meanwhile, another one of the big political battles that's kind of turning into going on here right now is gun safety laws and abortion. And it's weird how they're kind of blending into one issue, at least in this case. It's kind of strange. But California has invited a court battle, potentially with the Supreme Court, with gun laws, gun safety laws, that mimics Texas on an abortion law. So California has written a law here based on a Texas abortion law. Yeah, I'll give you the details here. Governor Gavin Newsom has modeled a bill that was written on a red state tactics, Texas, involving private lawsuits. This is pretty kind of, I don't know the word to use here, but here's the details. It's crazy. Let me know your thoughts on this. California has issued the U.S. Supreme Court a direct challenge on the confluence of gun and abortion rights, as Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a firearms bill embracing the doctrine of private enforcement. And this kind of goes with the precedence of how the Supreme Court has used their logic in the past, right? What's good for the goose is good for the gander, my father would say. The new law allows Californians to sue manufacturers and citizens who distribute banned assault weapons or ghost guns. And some people might say, hey, that sounds crazy. But this new law is modeled on the concept of a Texas law that has been already preserved by the High Court, the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court has already ruled that this type of law is okay. That allows people to pursue legal claims against abortion providers. Yeah, this is where it's getting creative here, right? By calling for and then signing the bill, Newsom has set up a legal test while illuminating the gulf between liberal California and conservative Supreme Court, basically a Democratic California and a Republican Supreme Court, on politically charged issues. The governor has maintained the measure is about protecting Californians from gun violence. But it also sends a message to the Supreme Court, whose rulings Newsom and fellow California Democrats have derided, essentially daring it to either uphold the gun law that California has just passed or reconsider its logic in backing Texas's approach on the abortion law that the Supreme Court upheld. The question is whether they are complete and abject hypocrites. This is what Governor Newsom said. This is a quote here. So here's Governor Newsom's quote here from California. The question is whether they are complete and abject hypocrites and frauds. If they reject our bill that's modeled after the abortion bill that they've upheld in Texas as it relates to private right of action to go after assault weapons, Newsom said this month. Yet the law could stand on precarious legal ground. Even Democratic legislators who favor gun restrictions said as much in passing the bill, conceding that it employed a dubious legal strategy in the service of a larger goal. State Senator Tom Umberg said before voting on the measure in April, quote, "It is my hope and desire that ultimately this bill actually not proceed because the Texas law is found to be wrong, unconstitutional, and crazy." But remember, the Supreme Court upheld the Texas law. So this is why California is putting this to the test, right? It also drew fierce opposition from ideological allies of Newsom who warned he was empowering the very type of reasoning he had condemned. Quote, "There is no way to take advantage of the flawed logic of Texas law." ACLU California Action said in a statement warning of a, quote, "radical and dangerous assault on our constitutional structure that could escalate an arms race of new weapons to curtail the education of rights by setting up bounty hunting schemes on politically sensitive issues." Interesting. Days earlier, Newsom signed a similar bill allowing individual Californians, the Attorney General, cities, and counties to sue gun manufacturers for negligence. The law mirrors a newly enacted New York measure that has so far survived legal challenges. If you've been hurt or a family member is a victim of gun violence, you can now go to court and hold these makers of deadly weapons accountable, which is basically what the Texas law says for abortions. Both gun law bills, along with California's larger universe of firearm restrictions, could be under threat after the Supreme Court embraced an expansive Second Amendment interpretation in striking down concealed carry permits that New York had recently passed here like a few weeks ago. California responded by simultaneously ceding some discretion over who can receive permits and pursuing new legislation to create new permits. Democrats have continued to advance new gun restrictions as a series of mass shootings, including the school at Uvalde, Texas, and down the street from the state capitol in Sacramento, fortified their resolve to act. But the high court's ruling could impair restrictions like California's ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, both of which are entangled in court challenges. Also, the House of Representatives, the country's House of Representatives, is currently set to vote on restricting assault rifles as well. California and other states are charting new gun law landscapes in the wake of the Supreme Court's ruling, exploring how far they can go under new legal standards that the Supreme Court has set. Yeah, so this is really an interesting kind of legal way to do things here. So, this is, if the Supreme Court sets a precedence to saying, well, what they did here with the abortion law in Texas, and now California's going to say, well, if you set this precedence that you can do that, they're going to test it now with the gun rights bill. Now, they're two different issues, but they're using the logic of it. It'll be interesting to see how that works. And of course, the Republican justices who ruled for it in favor of banning the abortions, which, of course, they just banned it on the federal level. But if they knew that the Republican states would then ban it on the state level, which it did happen, and more states are banning it as the weeks go by. So they pretty much knew that would happen. Those Republican justices won't want to see this happen for the guns, banning of the guns. Now, keep in mind here that most of these gun bannings are for banning of assault rifles, new sales, only for new sales. It really depends on the bill here. Or in this case, California, you can sue gun manufacturers if you've been harmed by by their gun that they manufactured, which is really a different precedence. The California governor made a statement here. I'll actually show you it. You can let me know your thoughts here on this.
Well, it's well known that nearly every industry is held to account when their products cause harm or injury. Well, except one, the gun industry. The gun lobby, well, it spent millions and millions of dollars buying off politicians to shield themselves from any liability. Today, California is going to change that. They can no longer hide from the mass destruction that they have caused. I'll be signing a bill that will allow Californians to sue irresponsible gun manufacturers and distributors. If you've been hurt or a family member is a victim of gun violence, you can now go to court and hold the makers of these deadly weapons accountable. Our kids, families, and communities deserve to live without the worry of gun violence. And with Assemblymember Ting's bill, gun makers will finally be held to account for their role in this crisis.
And I know that might sound crazy to some of you. To some of you, it might sound great. But drug makers, prescription drug makers, and makers of hard drugs, like some illegal drugs that aren't illegal. Well, they're illegal, but they started off non-illegal, or even they're by prescription, or opiates, things like that. Those manufacturers have actually gotten sued for billions of dollars, believe it or not. Okay, even like opiates. So you think I'll show you here some headlines just from February of this year, actually. 4 U.S. companies will pay $26 billion to settle claims they fueled the opioid crisis. $26 billion. That shows you how much money the prescription drug companies make. This is just the settlement that they paid. $26 billion just for the opioid crisis lawsuits. So if you think that this is crazy, this is the type of stuff that happens today. Think about how many people have died from opiates and other type of drugs, prescription drugs, whatever you want to call them, right? And then think about how many people have died from guns. And I get that you'll have the argument, some people have the argument, but it's not the gun that kills. It's not the opiate that kills. It's the person that does it. Well, here's a headline that says 4 U.S. companies paid $26 billion to settle claims that they fueled the opioid crisis. And then you can relate that to guns and firearms. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. This is just how the legal system works. I'm not a lawyer or anything, but you can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. This is part of how the world works. So do you think the gun manufacturers should have to pay for all the lives lost as they make billions and billions of dollars? Yeah. And all these school shootings continue to happen on a daily basis. Do you think there should be safety measures? Should there be more gun safety measures passed? Should there be assault rifle bans? Should they be out in the hands of civilians? Right now, there's about 400 million guns out there. There's more guns than there are people in the United States. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. Make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. Click the bell icon down below so you get notifications when we go live every day. It's completely free. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And you can click here to watch my newest stimulus check video. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.